The president calls baseball owners and players to the White House trying to end the strike. Beefing up the Border Patrol in Arizona, a revolving door for Mexican illegals. Judge Ito replaces a juror as testimony begins on the night of the murder.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. It's a night game for Major League Baseball owners and the players. President Clinton has summoned them to the White House this evening in an effort to end the strike, which is now threatening the opening of spring training in just 2 weeks and the season that follows. The president has been keeping the pressure on the two sides, but as NBC's Brian Williams tells us tonight, so far the count remains 0-2.
Like it or not, President Clinton is now the central player in the baseball strike. He came to the White House late tonight from the adjacent old executive office building. He was preceded by the principals, Donald Fehr representing the players and Bud Selig representing the owners. Some players themselves also came to the West Wing meeting in the Roosevelt Room tonight to enter their own thoughts into the record. The president is said to be exasperated at this point that efforts have not brought about any kind of a solution. And while not frustrated at Bill Usry, the federal mediator, the president wants to hear and see something promising tonight. Tom?
Any indication from backstage at the White House about whether they're optimistic or pessimistic, Brian?
Well, they are trying to gently dampen expectations tonight, hoping that hopes won't get too high. The president was already told point blank by Dole and Gingrich on Capitol Hill today that maybe Congress should not be the solution in this. So they're going with what the president can accomplish in the West Wing tonight.
But if he doesn't get anything accomplished there, does he just then walk away, or does he not try to get Congress involved in some fashion?
It is about the only axe he has to hold over anyone's head. That is the threat of binding arbitration. But he would need Congress to get that accomplished. It's presumed that some members of Congress will be brought in at least on the phone to confer about that.
Thanks very much, Brian Williams at the White House tonight. On another front, the president says that he will fight for his choice as the new Surgeon General of the United States. That's Dr. Henry Foster of Tennessee. But anti-abortion activists are determined to sink this nomination. They believe that Foster's history is on their side. NBC's Lisa Myers tonight on the latest presidential appointment problem.
Dr. Foster?
Even moderate Republicans pronounced Dr. Foster's nomination in deep trouble, saying the issue was no longer simply abortion, but credibility.
I'm very much concerned about allegations that Dr. Foster misrepresented his record. If the issue is veracity and character, that may be a basis for disqualification.
A Clinton administration spokesman said today that when Foster said last week he'd performed fewer than a dozen abortions as a private physician, he apparently did not include his hospital experience. So the administration was scrambling to figure out just how many abortions Foster did perform. Officials say Dr. Foster absolutely denies performing as many as 700 abortions, as suggested in a transcript circulated by anti-abortion forces.
Well, if on Friday he says he's done no more than 12 abortions, and then if we find out he's done hundreds, I would say that he's lost credibility and shouldn't be confirmed.
What's more, anti-abortion groups circulated new information about abortion drug tests which Foster ran and which resulted in 59 abortions. The usually mild-mannered chairman of the committee, which will help decide Foster's fate, initially had been told the doctor performed only one abortion.
The White House has badly mishandled a nomination in which they should have been sensitive to the issues that have been raised.
The president's spokesman insisted that Mr. Clinton's support has not wavered.
The president and the administration does not feel that the number of abortions is a factor in making a nomination.
Even some Democratic leaders now predict rough seas ahead for Dr. Foster, and they are bewildered over how the White House could botch still another nomination. Lisa Myers, NBC News, the Capitol.
When NBC Nightly News continues, our porous border with Mexico, can new pressure from Washington stop the flood of illegals? And a nation of whiners and screamers, why is everything these days in your face?
We built this jump and flooded it to introduce Goodyear's all-new Wrangler AquaTread for light trucks and sport utilities. 2 aqua channels sweep water away. You get the sheer rugged toughness of a Goodyear Wrangler